Okay, so it is 5:30 on a Monday, so I'm starting this right after work. We're at the point where we probably the more difficult or more challenging part of this process, which is not that challenging, which is a couple of things. Is we have this door molding that we have to deal with, and we're going to use an all-purpose tool to sort of drill through that, or sort of cut out the extra door molding there. And then I have to make a decision on this door molding, or sorry, this transition from like whatever's going to be in the carpet, which is going to be laminate eventually, to here. So we'll have to cut out part of this, the rest of this carpet and sort of like leave a gap, a 3/4 inch gap from the start of the transition to the end. And what's going to go in that gap is probably this 1/2 inch transition bracket. Let's see how long it is. It is about a 1/2 inch, a little bit more than a 1/2 inch. It's actually like 5. Let's see, let's do the math here. 4/8. It's a 1/2 inch, so about 5/8. But we're gonna have a 3/4 inch gap between the end of the hallway where the transition starts to the floor in the master bedroom. And because they're all, what's gonna be in the hallway is going to be a 12mm laminate with the same underlayment. We're gonna end up using this thing called a T transition, and it looks like this. It's almost the same color as this laminate floor. And the way that it does is, once we put on the actual bracket onto the ground, it will, this sort of, I don't know if you can see that. See that? It will sit in there like this. Can you see the zip close? It will sit in there like this. In there like this. You want to do it? It's supposed to be sitting in there. Well, yeah. This is not all lined up, but eventually it'll sit flush in there. And if you wanted like something like a reducer, it would sit in there like that. Actually on one side, and the other side would get another piece. But you didn't. Did you see all that, or are you just like pointing it? Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is clean up the carpet a little bit so that we know where the end of our where the end of this floor is going to be. So let's get on this side, and let's come over here. And so I decided that it's going to be about right here, right? Almost at the, right beyond the beginning of where this door sort of sits in this frame. So I'm going to cut out this part. I can actually use this as sort of a guide, since it's smaller than sort of where the doorway is. So about right there. And you're just cutting into the carpet, not into the material there. So let's see if this will work. Take this and cut this out. Just as a guide here. And it should reach all the way over this way. And this doesn't have to be exact, because again, this carpet eventually is going to come up. There's probably tacky or tack strips down there, so let's see what we ended up with. Should at least get it somewhat started. I think this thing is starting to get dull. That or the carpet material is like funky-ish. Do it. Oh
on as soon as it won't cooperate very well. And cooperate. And then let's do this cleanly. And I can feel something there. I think, yeah, the tack strip is there. I'm not muscling it too much here. One more time. There. And then cut it all the way down this way. I think where it's worn out, it like doesn't want to cut. All right, I'm gonna go on this side. Oh my goodness. Too much up and down. And then let's approach this side and see what happens. There's so much stuff there. Jeez. Right, that's done. And then let's do this backwards. Jeez. And wow. And go. That will be edited. All right, cool. So let's get rid of this too. This padding. There we go. So now we can have sort of an idea when we lay down the planks, how far out we need to go. Probably give it some, 3/4 inch out to here. So that's as far as it should go, so that'll give us some space. You can cut. Holy cow.
You want to tell everybody what you were doing?
Oh, sure. Okay, ready?
I've been
You're already
recording
40? Okay, cool. So all I'm doing is the tack strips are attached all the way around the perimeter of the room and also the perimeter of the molding just to keep the carpet down. So I just have to clear this space so that my wood can go all the way up to where it should go, or my laminate can go where it should go. So I use one of the more important tools that we have is this thing called an all-purpose tool, and all it is this sort of oscillates really quick. It just does a little vibration, and this has got like, it's a mini saw that's there, and as it sort of vibrates, it's going to cut where I need to cut. So I just applied this just to make it sort of clean, and just started on the top edge here and let it vibrate until it pretty much cut, not necessarily all the way through, but enough so that when I sort of pry it up, it'll cut somewhat clean. And just prying out the tack strip with this wood, this floor pry bar here. So if you tap it all the way into where one of the main nails are underneath, it should come out pretty easily. So there's one, put that away in a safe spot. And then the other one is here. Now I'll just easy peasy. And again, wear protection, wear these, since there's going to be like pretty sharp edges. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so the next thing I need to do is do this next section, this next row, and what you can see is, this is, once you put this against the adjacent row,
there's the molding sort of like gets in the way, and you have this gap here, which if you put the baseboard, it's gonna show up. So what you really want to do is you want to drill this so that it goes all the way there, or not drill this, but place this so it goes about 1/4 inch, a little less than 1/4 inch to the drywall. So what we can do for this particular piece is we can remove this base, the molding at the bottom of this door. And the way that we do that is we're going to use this all-purpose Ryobi, which you showed in the previous clip there. And the way that we measure how much to remove is we can take our floor or the plank that we're going to use and use it sort of as a guide. Take your pencil here and mark it all the way around, and that will give us sort of like where it needs to be cut. Same thing here, I'll just lay it flush against here. Should be a little bit below that. So the back, the front, lay it flush on the floor, and then also go to a little bit to this side. Though I'm trying to think, do we want that? Yes, there's a transition that's going to cover it. Yeah. There. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're just going to use this all-purpose reciprocating tool to cut it. And the way that I do it is I start on a corner and start getting into it, and then I can, start to do clean cuts all the way through. So I'll start here and just work my way around. I just work my way slowly around. I don't try to push it all the way through because it will lock up the blade. So I just let it, work slowly, let the tool do the work. So that piece will come out, and then just to check, this should come in flush onto that. Let's see. So once I put this in and put it underneath, probably will have to use a tapping block. Before you sort of make this permanent, you should probably clean up all that sawdust as well with your shop vac, but I'm not going to do this all the way down. I'm just going to leave a 1/4 inch space. So it should, from what I can see, it should go all the way through. And then there's this other piece down there that sort of needs to be cut all the way down as well. Let me make sure that that can come out too.
I'm gonna go ahead and continue actually cutting through. Let's lay this out somewhat. Because I know for the next piece I'm gonna have to work on that. I don't want to damage the other floor to do it. Let's see, so from this side, corner piece. So you can take a small pry bar and take that out. Hopefully you don't have to do custom cut there. That'd be awesome. And let's see. Ow! That's why you should wear a glove. It's just molded. You can take that out. Maybe. It's got a staple down there, I think. It should just go all the way through. That sort of sounds a little metallic. And I think that's because there's a staple down there. So let's see. I'm gonna cut it just enough. Earlier I drew out a line to where I want the border of my floor should be, so if I just go up to that point, I should be good. Let's try this again. No. Actually, I can go ahead and test that. See if that will go underneath all the way. So it's, come over here real quick, Kat. So for this, I see that, this is my line where I want to finish my floor, so it's just about half an inch short, a little less. So I'll continue to work on this part. Pretty much gone all the way through. I just gotta chip the wood out. There we go. There we go. And I think that should give me what I want. It should go all the way up to my border. That's perfect. So I don't have to do any more work on the subsequent molding either. And for the other part of this, which is the other molding, I think I'll just have to do the same thing, which is this one, and make sure that I clear this space all the way up to that particular point. So same method. They're all sort of built the same. It's already got a little bit of a gap, but not enough. So that's also going to be very simple. So similar method.
Action.
And it is 9:46, we did 30 minutes of worth of cleanup, and we started at 5:30, 5:15, 5:30. So it took us about another 4 hours to lay down the rest of the planks with the challenges of the door molding, a couple of door moldings, and then really four door moldings, and then getting this piece in was a beast, because to get under here, to have extra sort of space or extra plank that extend beyond sort of like where everything else is extending, it was hard to get it in there, and we struggled with it, and we had to make special cuts for these to sort of have the plank fit into the molding, or into the walkway there. So everything else that's left is baseboard, which will be easy peasy. We'll probably do it tonight, but we're going to pace ourselves. It's probably gonna take like 30 minutes at the most. So everything is pre-cut, just boom, 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 rattling nail into the ground, and that's it. So I'm going to actually just walk around so you guys can sort of see what the length of this thing is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 11 and a half paces this way. So it's a lot of room to sort of fill in. And then I'm going to I'm going to lay down so you can sort of see what the relative length of everything is. So from here is the head, and then you gotta go all the way down that way. And then this way is the length, so you can sort of see relatively how big the room is. It's got a little bit of shavings from where we cut the planks, so that's all gonna get cleaned up. So really excited. It took us about 17 hours total. Start, clean up, strip things out, put stuff down, and then another, I'm gonna say like putting everything back in is gonna take like another 2 hours, 30 minutes for that. So 2.5 hours, that makes it, what's the total?
20.
So, is it 20? 20 hours. So you could do it in a week. If you do 4 hours every night, you can like refrain from doing more. It's sort of like exercise. If you try to do like 4 hour, 8 hour at a time of exercise, you're probably gonna die. But you know, your body's gotta get used to it, etc. So it might take you longer to really challenge it. It's pretty labor intensive. So, but pretty happy.
Whenever you're ready. All right, cool. We are on the second to the last phase of doing this floor. The next thing we're gonna do is we're going to reinstall the baseboards that we took out in the beginning. So if you pan around the room, we've sort of pre-placed where the baseboards were. We numbered them so we know exactly where they're going to go. And we can sort of put them back the way where they should go. So if you look on this wall, Kat, this wall is so long that they had to use 2 baseboards, a short one and a long one. So that's what that looks like. And if you come close, actually I'll come to you. For this one, for this shortcut, they put against the wall. It's really just a straight cut, right? And then the second cut is a 45-degree angle, but it's sort of, if you're looking at the wall, it's the other board will sort of go in behind this to sort of help it secure it in place. Typically with baseboards, you know, the corners are usually like 45 degrees cut, but for these, they're not. As a matter of fact, if you follow me around, like this first one, straight. The second one, is this 45? Yeah, this one's 45 degrees. That one's 45 degrees. Actually, like the very end of this is not 45 degrees. Though that one is, so they sort of did something funky there. I can put that there. And then this guy here-ish, so I'll have to figure out how that works. But on this end, the angle here is not 45 degrees, but this one is 45 degrees. Or actually, there's no angle here. They just sort of, they took the end of the mold, or end of the baseboard, and just sort of like cut around the shape of the baseboard. It's weird. Same thing on this end. This is all straight here, and then this one. Come closer, Kat. Can I do this? Yeah, there's a straight edge here. Can you get the view from like this angle? Yeah, so it's not 45 degrees. And then what they did was they cut this out in a way that it would conform to the shape of the baseboard. So we should probably install this baseboard first.
before we install this one. So we'll just adjust through all that. All right, the tools that you need. Obviously you're gonna have to put in some Bradley nails for baseboards. I think 2 inches is recommended to use. I have this Ryobi battery powered one. It's got a micro compressor in there that will sort of shoot out the nails for you. A lot, I guess old style is you would have a compressor, you would have a air driven, compressor driven drill or a gun. It's an air gun essentially, but this got a built-in one powered by the battery. You probably also need to use, I call this the knee finder. Other people call it the stud finder, but just go around the room and this will find the edge of a stud, and then you just mark a little bit offset in the direction that you're sort of scanning in order to determine what the stud is, or you just hold it up to me and it's like, hey, there it is. Beep, 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 beep. Anyway, I go through the room and sort of find all of where I want to put the nails in, and so I'll mark where all the studs are. I don't know if you need one for every stud, but we'll mark it just in case. Then I always put like the Bradley nails at the ends of the baseboard just so to secure them in place, especially since not all these are 45 degrees. What else do you need? Obviously, wear sun protection because you don't know which way, it's possible that the Bradley nails could be errant and somehow ricochet back towards your eyes. Wear a glove just in case. It can also ricochet and somehow hit you on your hand. What else is there? These. So we're going to nail the baseboards to the drywall and into the stud. But at the very top of them, you're probably going to leave some sort of crack. So you're going to need 1 or 2 caulks, a caulk gun as well to sort of seal the top of it. And you can use your finger to sort of like really clean up the whatever caulk you're laying down, that layer, and then clean it up so there's not an excess. And I use this. This caulk is for baseboards, windows, doors, molding. It's a white caulk. You don't want to use a clear one because if you use a clear one, you pretty much see whatever defect was there. And this is also, you can color this as well. So, all right, what else? The other tool I use is like this Bradley nail driver, because even though you have a nail gun, it's possible that it could be sticking out a little bit, and you can use this to sort of get the head of the Bradley nail on this end and just tap it in all the way into the baseboard because you don't want it sticking out. Because it will, what they call show once you paint it. And the other thing is this caulk gun comes with its own sort of cutter, but I think that's too big of a hole that it leaves in the caulk, or the caulk tip there. So you need something a little bit, something like this cutter, and just try to make a small cut on the top just to leave so that the trail of the caulk is thinner, and you can clean it up nicely. And I think they also advise that you have a sort of a moist or wet cloth near you, so when you wipe off the caulk, you can clean it off with the wet cloth and then keep going, because you're going to be doing that really throughout the perimeter of the room, cleaning that stuff up. All right, cool. Set. You recording?
Yep, go.
All right, so first thing, knee finder / stud finder. How this works is you place the stud finder on the drywall, you move to whatever direction. Once it detects the edge of the stud, it's going to light up and show like a little laser pointing down, and you can mark sort of where that is, or just a little bit, like a ½ inch to the left of that, or a little less than ½ inch, and that's where a stud is. We're going to do that all the way across the walls, so we know where the studs are, and you know where we may need to put some nails in. So let's do this. I squeeze the button to sort of activate it. Oh, I think it didn't like that one. Let me get a better position here. Let's do it again so you can see. All right, so let's start here, and you can see. I turn the switch on. It starts to move across, or you start moving across. When it finds an edge, then it leaves, you know, you can see this little red thing underneath that. I'll mark it sort of close to where the board is, or where the top of the board would be. It's about right there. Doesn't have to be exact, you'll sort of know. And what it does is it detects a change in density between the drywall and where the stud is, and it should be coming up soon. There it is. So again, it's about right here. So I'm offset a little bit, and I'll just go all the way around the room to do that. And so the next, okay, you can stop. Okay, cool. So what we're doing now is I went and positioned the baseboard as well as I could along the wall. I marked all my different positions for the studs with my knee finder / stud finder. And this is Ryobi nail gun. It's got a cartridge here, and you put the, you buy these sort of packets of nail gun things, and you just toss that in there carefully and make sure everything is sort of in place, line it up, solidify it. This nail gun's got a couple of settings. It's the Ryobi Airstrike technology. It's got where you can adjust the pressure of the air compressor, the micro compressor in there, and also adjust the depth of this with this, which, you know, sometimes it'll stick out from the drywall, or not the drywall, but from the baseboard, but you can test it on either a scrap piece, you can test it on some wood to see how it's sort of going into the wood and how much of the head is sticking out. So I typically will, the way that I use this is, here's my baseboard right here. Don't press anything, but here's the baseboard right there. On the top part, I'll go in sideways like this. On the bottom nail, closer to the ground, I'll go in and sort of turn it upside down, because the top part of this is a lot slimmer profile than it is on the side, and you can get a better, more direct hit into the baseboard. All right, cool. So let's start. So I think initially I will go in and get the top part of this very end. So I'll do that, press it in, press the button, and got one in. You can tell if it's going in too deep or not. That one went, you know, in pretty well. You don't want it to go in too deep or you lose. It doesn't really have a very big head on it, and it doesn't try to stop at the surface. Just the resistance of the nail along the material, etc., gives it that friction to sort of hold this in place. So I did the top. I'll do the bottom as well. Turn it upside down, press it in like that. That one had a little bit sticking out, and I'll have to either hammer it in or use a little Bradley nail sort of driver. I'll do this one. This is where I marked with my stud finder / knee finder. So I'll do that part. That one in pretty well. Do the bottom part. There we go. That one went in better than the other one. And then I'll just go all the way down this way. You can turn it on.
Action.
Cool, everything went as imperfectly as I expected it to. So there were maybe 1 or 2 nails that didn't make it all the way through. 2 methods. You find the Bradley head with your
finger, and then sorry, can you zoom in on this?
I got it.
And then you use the top of this. It's got a little bit of indentation at the top. So you go in and reach out here, find the head of this, and then you can use this Bradley sort of like bit to drill it in. It's a very precise science kind of thing. Like you almost have to, you're really doing it by feel and sound because you can hear it when you're hitting metal versus wood. And then one of the advice that I see on YouTube a lot is you use wood putty. You put it on top of where the Bradley nail went into, sort of like just mush it down with your finger and smooth it out, and then when it dries you can use a sandpaper to sand it down, and like that hole completely disappears. For me, I think I'm okay with the way it is. I think the paint will probably just, for the most part, cover it up. And then another method you can use is just take your regular hammer, and this is not a very flat hammer, it's a little bit convex, or it bulges out a little, just slightly. You just take your hammer and just slightly hammer it in. That works too. I think the disadvantage of that is like it might open up the top a little bit more, depending on sort of where you're hammering. Okay. And this one is also sticking out a little, so we had about 3 out of what, 12? And again, I think some of that is just variation in the material, the angle that your air gun is going in, etc. And there we go. This is the magic part, I think. There's a little bit of an arc there. All right, cool. Bradley nails in.
And action.
All right, cool. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to put this baseboard slash window, door, molding, trim, caulk, and it usually comes in this particular container. You can also color the caulk. So I would, for the baseboard work, you should probably try to make it a narrower sort of hole on top, so you can use this tool to like cut the top of that, and you may have to do like half of the tip, then the other half, do the other half. And sometimes you may have to use something built into the caulk gun, which is just like this long, stiff wire thing. And you know, if you put it into the gun and it's not coming out, take this wire thing and put it into where you poke the hole and push it all the way down, and that should open up, you know, the tip of the caulk container, so that, you know, the white stuff will come out, the caulk will come out. All right, cool. So once you've done that, let's go in and put the cartridge into the caulk gun. And this is, I think this is a little lever that sort of stops the pressure going into the cartridge when you're applying caulk, but also you need to depress that in order to pull this out. This piece goes into the cartridge, and it goes and is the one that really pushes the stuff out. So pull this all the way down, put your cartridge into the caulk gun. Oh wait, let's do it this way, like that, and then start squeezing it like that, and you should meet resistance at some point. And that's engaged, and then you can start squeezing until it sort of starts coming out. There we go. So it started to come out. Just might be, you know what? I may have to use that thing to the little wire thing, just to make sure it's all opened up, because this has been sitting for a while.
so 2 lessons here. Boom, do that. It's probably gonna come out a little bit with some material. Yeah, let's see. Okay, cool. So we make sure that there aren't anything that obstructs the tip of that caulk cartridge. All right, let's try that again. Okay, and then let's see if the wax stuff comes out. Okay, cool, that comes out a lot better. All right, so here's the moist sort of towel that I have, which is a paper towel. I wet it a little bit. You're gonna use your finger to sort of clean up the caulk that you apply. So if you don't mind, Kat, just come closer. So we installed the baseboard, and you can see that there's still cracks sort of open there. We're just sealing that crack just for primarily aesthetics for this particular bedroom. In the bathroom, it might be to keep moisture out, but let's do that. I start here, a little bit of an angle, and apply constant pressure and just move. Oh, let's see. And move. Wow. Let's try it again. And wow. This light doesn't want to come out. Haha! Live TV, people, live TV. I'm gonna play with this a little bit and see what it does. Wow! It should be all cleared up. Are we out? Is that what the deal is? I don't think this is out. Okay, maybe that's out. Let's see. Where this thing is. No, it's not out. So it should be fine. Let's do this again, because it might have dried out a little. Okay, let's try it. And as you can tell, nothing ever is perfect. So let's try it one more time. And if this doesn't work, we could just use a new gun or a new cartridge. And that seems to be clear there. I think it's only been sitting for a month, so I don't know if there's an expiration. All right, let's try it again. Oh, well, see, that one came out okay. Will it continue to come out okay? And it's continuing to come out okay. Okay, cool. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is make sure the tip is clean when we sort of fudge up right there. So let's start doing it now. All right, a little bit of 45-degree angle all the way around. So let's start putting that down, just somewhat of a thin layer. Yeah, this one's not coming out very thin. So you have to sort of move at a speed that's appropriate to the amount of material that's coming out. This one is sort of pretty thick. So I have to move a little faster. And at first it's gonna, there's gonna be some uneven parts. Okay. And I guess I'll start from this side too, to finish it off. And then what you can do is eventually, in the middle here, is also put caulk on here, just to seal it up, but I think we're somewhat okay. We have some parts that are not as pretty, and you can use caulk to sort of fill all that up, just so it, eventually it'll look nice. Something like that. All right, so we put the caulk down, and what we want to do is just sort of clean it up, because like this has got some pretty big bumps there. You can sort of notice it. So you take your finger and sort of wipe it across like that, the excess. You sort of scrape off into your wet cloth. Got some excess here too. You don't really want to leave too much there, even though it's paintable, because it will sort of show up. So I had cut this cartridge before, and it's definitely too much stuff coming out at once. So when you do your cut, sort of start with probably the smallest hole that you can make at the tip of that cartridge so that you don't have all this excess caulk everywhere. So I'm just wiping it off here because and that's the reason why we sort of make it moist so it can be cleaned up easily. I'm gonna leave that there because it'll dry. I'll clean that up in a minute, but it usually will dry and it'll be easily scrapable. So, all right, I'm gonna continue to do that, but I think you get the idea. Use your finger, try to use the least amount of material on there, and you can use your finger to spread it out to cover the crack. And then if you put too much, you can use your finger to sort of scrape it off. Everything initially nailed down. I just need to caulk this puppy and maybe put in some additional Bradley nails because I just got it to the point where I could somewhat secure it in place, but just a few more Bradley nails and that's it. Yes, we are done officially. We, if you pan around the floor, see what it looks like. We put all the baseboards up, use Bradley nails to do it, and then we also put some caulk along the top of the baseboard just to seal the cracks, the imperfections. And you know, those are gonna dry. Vacuumed it all up, and I'm gonna say that's officially over. Kat, you wanna walk and just like get like a really good view of the floor and just like walk around, you know. I really like the color. I really like the texture, etc. And then you can come back up to me. It's almost the same color as my shorts, except darker. Cool. And that, I think we did about 2 more hours today. And with all that, I think it's about 20 hours, plus whatever it's gonna take to move the furniture back in here. So, feeling good, feeling accomplished. It was fun. Let's start recording.
Go.
All right, so the real test for any floor that you lay down is the sock skate test. So we're gonna try it out, make sure that it's clean and that it's even and that you can sort of hone on it with socks. Just tell me to go when you're ready.
Go.
Yes, like a pro. And then the other test is called the jump test, just to make sure you can jump on it. Jiggle. All right, and the last test, the butt scooch test. Yes, it works, even with socks on. Hey, 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 hey.